Does God exist?
I believe God does exist. I'm more of a spiritual person, so I don't really see God as having like human characteristics, but I do believe that, I do believe in like the power of the universe. I do believe that there's a God within all of us. Yeah.
All right. Do you guys believe that God exists?
I do. I believe God exists.
I personally don't know if it exists, but I believe there is something out there. So I'm agnostic.
So, go ahead.
God exists, but some people don't like to refer him to God. But basically like a higher power.
So with that idea, if you look at New York City, how we have a multitude of religions and we coexist with the idea of a certain God, how come the rest of the world can't?
If we look at New York City, multiple religions coexist.
You have your Jews in one area, you have people who are Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, and we're a coexisting city. We never really have any protest against religion. So why are governments fighting against religion with one another?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, to be honest.
I don't know either.
But
That's a good question, though.
And I give a perspective. It's not an answer, but it's a perspective. I'll say is, we're not a heavily based country. We a fake religious country. It's fake Christianity country. You talk about the Bible a lot and the commandments, but we don't really believe in the Bible and really govern our laws by the Bible. But other religions are really religious foundation built. So they take, I feel like, the scripture of their religion way more seriously.
So would you find it kind of contradicting in how we don't have a really based religion, but our laws are based by Christianity, where we have a multitude of other religions that live underneath?
Yes, this country is definitely contradicting, and they just choose when to do certain things and when to pull certain strings and when to use the Bible for certain things. I'll say, yeah. Especially when it comes to laws.
So now, with that idea, do you believe that we can coexist around the world with different ideas of what God is, the same way we do in New York, or you think it's always a problem?
I think in the ideal world it would be possible. In my opinion, I think that all religions relate in some way. Like, for example, I think the foundation of most religions is like peace and loving community. I think like if we're looking at it from the lens of just like loving one another and like being accepting of one another, yes. But then things get complicated and like religions start to contradict each other when we establish like unnecessary rules that, I don't know, that make us oppose each other rather than like welcome one another. So I don't think in this world it's possible because people are very opinionated and people are always going to want to like one-up one another and feel superior to each other. But I do think if we were all operating under like a loving rhetoric, it would be possible. So yeah.
All right, the quick question is, does God exist?
Yes, absolutely, without a doubt. Right now, 100%.
I love that. So with that idea, how does New York coexist with multitude idealisms of God and the rest of the world can't?
I think it's because we have the opportunity to meet so many different people that the more people you talk to, meet, eat with, sit down with, the more you realize like God is just the collective whole. So I think we're just like at this like privileged place to where we get to experience the melting pot. I love this shit, so y'all asked the right person. All
right, so do you believe that our laws should be dictated by our religion or separate from that?
I don't think so, because I feel like it's tricky because everybody's religion goes to like different extremes with things, but I feel like if we just come down to a secular level, like your personal religion and morals can like go into your decision, but I think to make that decision for the group is just like too much.
So doesn't that kind of contradict the American government, how it's kind of more biased towards one group of people?
Yeah.
And it only fuels that idea and it kind of affects other religions?
No, absolutely, because it's like a very like Christian traditional Christian society, But I feel like even that idea of Christianity is like white Christianity, European Christianity. So even within their religion, they're incorporating like their own like idea and image, and even white Jesus. And like, I'm a Christian, so like I be seeing the BS too. But yeah, I don't know if that was a good answer.
No, it was. Love that. Thank you. Do you believe that God exists?
Yes.
So now that we live in a coexisting city, why do you think New York can coexist with the multitude of ideas of God, but the rest of the world can't?
Most people are, in my belief, are always trying to push one. It's always, and especially mostly in America, we push the one. It has to be one thing. We all have to come together as the one. When we all aren't one, we are one, right? We are all human, but we're not all the same. So it's like, so when you try to push everybody into one box, you create like almost what we have today in America, where people are like, it's loose. Everybody feels it's like, this thing is coming, and this thing is coming is like, shit may end, like, COVID's happening, so it creates these things, and it's because New York does have that diverse, like, extreme density of diversity. It's not spread out everywhere where everyone can't even enjoy or talk about these things, and then the next day say, well, I still got to sit next to you, and I still got to set up a booth next to you, so it's like, so it's that, like, oh, I can just run away from them and I can just hide in my own thing the entire time, and honestly, it needs to get out of that. Like, it's hard. Me personally, as a person, I'm not even from New York City, so I feel like people need to travel. Sometimes I feel like people need to travel to a city like this to experience those exact things, and to open their hearts and minds, and to be able to receive it all, and not hold just one as the thing, and as, the denomination. Oh, that's the only thing. It's like, no, well, we can have it all, and we can all love it all and respect it all, and it be fair,
I love that. Do you think God exists?
No.
I can understand why people would think, but for me personally, no.
Okay. So do you think it's kind of weird how New York can coexist with the multitude idealisms of God, but the rest of the world can't?
Wait, what?
So notice how, like, New York can coexist with different religions. You have Jews, you have Buddhism, everything.
Right.
But how come the rest of the world is always conflicting with religious ideas?
Oh, interesting.
See, I think that's the question that should be answered, and I cannot. I wish somebody could. Yeah, kind of.
I don't know. Well,
But I mean, compared to the other cities we've been to, I think this is, like, because I grew up here, but, like, where we live in Europe, and I think that the, like, culture here is way different.
How so?
I just think, like, because I come from an immigrant family, and so I saw a bunch of, like, I saw everything all the time here, and when I would visit other big cities, I didn't get that as much, maybe because I didn't grow up there, like, I came as a older person, but...
It's true, it's difficult to answer. Also, because we're not from New York, and to experience that, I'm from Amsterdam, so it's totally different there.
But also very much, a lot is happening, a lot of religious people and living together.
But I think in every country, every place, it's so different. Also, what it has to do with places they colonize. So in Holland, they colonize a lot of different places. So you have a lot of immigrants from there. So that's very respected. But it's also super fucked because they have, like, around the 60s, they had a shortage of workers. And they opened up the borders to people from Morocco. And they were really, like, wanting them to work there, even send ships and, like, like, really actively searching for them. And now they are here, and they're, like, third, second, generation, and they are absolutely being super discriminating and racist towards them, and not wanting them here and neglecting them. So it's, like, really, like, fucked also. So I would say, it's really free, but also, is it ever? Like,
not really.
No.
So then that also brings the question, should government and religion be separate, or should it be together? Because notice how there's some countries that have governments and religion combined, and some that aren't, and some that pretend they aren't. Especially America in itself.
I think separate. I mean, you should. There's so many different religions, so many different things. You have to put it in, like, you cannot neglect it. You cannot not see it. Like, you need to be aware. But it's really unfair, I think, for a government to be like, we are this religion and we go from these
'cause there's so many
points of views. Yeah, you cannot do that. You cannot put that on other people.
So then what is your perspective about the American government that pretends to be separate from church
Well, there's
and state?
a lot of things to say about the American government, sweetie. Hey, do you have an hour? Or? No, I don't know. I think it's a bit fucked, to be honest. But I think the whole system is a bit rotten and not really well.
Got it. All right. Thank you, guys. All right, brother. Does God exist?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Heavenly, spiritually, in the realm that we as we challenge ourselves, what miracles that we see in the form of myself, okay, because I did 7 years of prison, okay, 7 years of incarceration of a mistake that I made in the form of a crime in this land because of an addiction I had, right? A lot of people that have an addiction, like myself, black men that are from the 70s, do not make it out of bondage and an addiction. Also through molestation. All right, those are 3 factors that I had against me coming back into society. And what, through the grace of God, has allowed me to feel is that I don't ever have to turn back into the demonic places that I felt comfortable in because of my affliction through molestation as a 3-year-old. Okay? All right? So to be able to not have any type of therapy, all right, and come forth and put forth a message of positivity every single day for myself as a routine to stay balanced, you know, without you know, killing myself or overeating or abusing women, okay? Because those are all things that we do because we don't feel the love that Jesus Christ, the God of above, wants us to feel inside of us, because that's the love that he has shed down on us in the form of life.
Yeah. Now, with that idea, we live in a city that can coexist with different ideas of what God is. How come the rest of the world can't coexist the way New York coexists?
Well, it's evolution.
Okay.
All right? It's just like this. The whole part of where we are comes from experience.
True.
Right? So if a long time ago, it was very antisocial and immoral for man and man to be together, or for woman and woman. Okay, and now through evolution of thinking, right, it's an acceptable factor because we are who we are. We should be able to do whatever we want under the sun.
You're right. No, you're right on that, 100%. All right, thank you, brother.
It's a pleasure.
Bless.
God bless.